doesn't, but just to the naked eye and the look here, there's really some concern over player safety, whether protocols were followed, and hopefully everything's okay with Tua, but just your overall assessment of the situation, both in terms of what happened last Sunday and then what happened on Thursday night.
It's disappointing, man. It's very, very disappointing. Especially when you think of the eye test. I remember I wasn't even covering that game. I glanced over when Tua got hurt. I was like, oh God, he's going to be out for the rest of the game. That was against the Bills. Because it was very clear that he was not okay. And I thought it was kind of discouraging. I like Mike McDaniel as a coach, and he seems like a great person, but I thought it felt disingenuous for him to say that Tua initially, from the eye test, it didn't look like he was concussed against the Bills, because again, he couldn't walk. He was grabbing his head. I don't know what else a guy has to do short of like throwing up on the field for you to be like, oh, this is a head thing. And then I feel like they just kind of put themselves in a bad position where, okay, now if you haven't played an entire second half of football after everybody saw that, if he's not practicing, if he enters concussion protocol during the week, what does that say? Then it turns into a weird situation for the Dolphins where they need to explain why this player is in concussion protocol or not practicing after he was playing an entire half when he clearly had something wrong. So I think they just put themselves in a bad position. And then in the game, it was horrific. Honestly, like I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Hard to watch.
Horrible. It's disappointing, and I don't know who responsibility falls to. I don't want to point fingers at this person, that person. I don't know how that works. That's not my jurisdiction, any of those things. But it's got to do better. It's really that much. Like I don't think it's that, we need to revamp necessarily the protocol. It's follow the protocol. We already went through this whole scenario where we recommitted to protecting players and trying to reduce head injuries. And I do think that is a sincere effort, but it needs to be carried out every single time, because these are people's brains we're talking about. It sucks if you have a lower body injury and you can't walk the right way for the rest of your life. It's a completely different thing when your brain isn't working the same way. So again, I think the league is making a very sincere effort to try to reduce these and make sure the players are taken care of. But these independent specialists or anybody who's consulting with them and the people around them as well need to be protecting them. And I think it also needs to be emphasized for players that if you think this is happening, these people are mentally, we can't relate. I remember being like, I don't know how you play. I couldn't watch the rest of the game. I don't know how you play the rest of the game after watching your brother experience something like that. Or even Tua wanting to go back in after he knew he couldn't walk. I can't relate to that.
They looked shook, understandably.
But that's the thing. You have to protect yourself, and the people around you have to protect you from yourself as well. So, that's what it is. Like the system is in place, but it needs to be executed consistently, because we can't have things like that happen. Like, remember I read a report that said it could have ended his entire career. And obviously that's like the minimum, because it could have turned into something that deals with his entire life.
And there's a lot of things you look at. You talk about, okay, a spotter missed the wobbliness and he was allowed to return in that game on Sunday. Well, you know what? Change the protocol more than just a couple of spotters who might have been getting a hot dog at the time, and just say, okay, there's somebody back watching video who's going to get word to people and say, yo, that doesn't look right. You can't put him back in there, and don't let him back in that game. And if you want to talk about other things that you can do, is make the protocol mandatory. If you suffer a concussion 1 week, you must miss the next week's game. That's it. And then you take it out of people's hands about clearing protocol. Well, he was fine on Friday, and I don't know on Saturday, because you've seen that people kind of take step one towards it. Maybe you just take it out of their hands and say, we don't even start the clock on the protocol until a full week has passed and you've missed a game. Maybe there's other things that you can do to avoid the temptation to try to rush back a little bit early.
Yeah, and again, like I'm not nearly well versed enough or educated enough in this field. I don't want to talk out of my neck.
Yep.
But the bottom line.
The other solution is ban. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we can all agree. Just protect these people, especially in situations where it's this obvious.
Yeah,
like it's not really that complicated. If someone can't walk and is grabbing their head, take that seriously.
Yeah,
and that's all I got.
Yeah, exactly.